Hello, Lucy. Hello, Acadia. I got a book for you today. It is called Pony Pals, and I'll show it to you in just a minute, and I'll tell you a little bit about the story. It's about a little girl, and her father has to go to Brazil for a little bit, and her mother's not in the picture. We don't know why yet, but she has a single parent. And so this little girl, whose nickname is Lulu, like someone else I know, her formal name is Lucinda, but her nickname is Lulu. This little girl is spending time with her grandmother, and her grandmother lives in this small town. And I just read the first couple of pages, but the story is that Lulu is very bored after she's been there a few hours. There's nothing to do. She really wanted to go to Brazil with her father. That's sad. But what the story is about is that she finds out there's a pony in the town that needs to be rescued, and she rescues the pony. And the story is about Lulu and the pony. So I'm excited to read it. So let's turn the camera around. There we go. And set it up, and I'll read to you a little bit. As I'm reading this, your grandmommy has gone shopping, and she's going to call me when she is on her way back, so I may have to stop reading for a while when she calls. And here's the book. Can you see that? That's Lulu in the red shirt. I don't know how old she is. She may be a little bit older than Acadia. And it looks like that's the pony. It says Pony Pals. That's the name of the book. I Want a Pony. And it says right here, a pony is in danger. Can the Pony Pals rescue the pony in time? We see a pony that's lying down there. It's a nice white pony, and looks like there's a barbed wire that maybe the pony has run into, but we'll find out. Here we go. Pony Pals, Chapter 1. And here are all the chapters. Let me read the chapter names to you. That'll give you a clue as to what's coming up later. 1, Lulu meets her neighbor. And you see neighbor, it's hyphenated there with N-E-I-H in italics. Those funny kind of letters are called italics. The noise that a horse makes is neigh. So that's a little bit of a play on words. It says Lulu meets her neighbor, okay? Chapter 2, Lulu gets caught. Uh-oh. Chapter 3, a pony in trouble. Chapter 4, a dangerous trap. Chapter 5, a Lulu's reward. Chapter 6, who's going to pay? Chapter 7, Snow White's sleepover. Chapter 8, the best medicine. Chapter 9, whose pony is it? And Chapter 10, on the Pony Pal Trail. Okay, and there's a map here, and don't worry about trying to understand the map yet. What I will do is maybe after we start learning a little bit about what things are, I'll try to show you the map. I'm not sure how well this map is going to show up, but we have things on it. I'm just going to point out one or two things. You don't have to worry about it. Lake Appomattox. This is the town green. It says Main Street. It says North Street. It says Pony Pal Trail, Bud Brook, Lightning's Paddock, and a bunch of other stuff. There's a diner down here. That's where they eat. There's a library here. Wiggins Elementary. So that's her school. The town name is Wiggins. So that's her school. And one other thing I'll tell you is her grandmother runs a beauty shop. That's where they do hair. They cut hair and style hair and everything. We'll find out about that. This is the Wiggins estate up here, and that's a ranger station. Okay, onward. We'll come back to that. Lulu meets her neighbor, Chapter 1. Lulu had been at her grandmother's for 3 hours and 22 minutes. She watched the slow-moving hands of the kitchen clock as she waited for her father to phone and say that he'd made a mistake. He'd tell her that instead of living in boring Wiggins, she could go with him to the Amazon jungle in Brazil. Lucinda, dear, come here, won't you? Her grandmother was calling from the front parlor. Lulu ran through the dining room into the parlor. The large sunny room facing Main Street wasn't a regular parlor, it was a beauty parlor, the Sanders Beauty Salon. Grandmother Sanders was squirting a pile of silver gray curls with her hairspray. Looking at Lulu's reflection in the chrome frame mirror, she said, "Lucinda, dear, we do not run in the house. It is not ladylike." Lulu sneezed from the irritating hairspray fumes. "Well now," the pile of silver curls said, that's the customer there, the pile of silver curls, "so this is your granddaughter." "Yes, indeed," Grandmother said. "Mrs. Casera, this is Lucinda Sanders. Lucinda, this is Mrs. Casera." To Lulu, Mrs. Casera said, "How do you do?" To Grandmother, she said, "I can't imagine suddenly having a child to raise at our age." And Lucinda says, "I'm only here until my dad finishes his job in Brazil," Lulu informed her. He's raising me." "That's right," Grandmother told Mrs. Casera, "and I love having my granddaughter with me. As for my age, well, I have more energy at 70 than I did when I was younger." So the grandmother is 70, almost the same age as your grandmother in New Jersey. She looked at Lulu. "Now, wouldn't a cut and a permanent do wonders for Lucinda's hair?" Oh, she's talking about fixing Lulu's hair. Even though 3 mirrors showed that Lulu's brown shoulder-length hair was straight and stringy, she thought her hair was just fine. She hated the idea of spending even 5 minutes in the stuffy, smelly beauty parlor. Now, if Grandmother had pony stables, she thought, I wouldn't mind those strong odors one bit. The phone rang. "Would you get that, Lucinda, dear?" Grandmother said. So you know how I know when someone's speaking? It's in quotation marks. You see those little marks there? Those are quotation marks. So I'll try to make it clear with my voice, but it says, "Would you get that, Lucinda, dear?" Grandmother said. I know that she's speaking because I see the quotation marks. Lulu answered the phone by saying, "Sanders Beauty Salon?" "Lulu," the voice on the other end exclaimed, "how's my girl?" "Dad, I was waiting for you to call. I'm going to the kitchen phone to talk." As Lulu ran back through the dining room, she reviewed how she would plead with her father to let her go with him to the Amazon. Maybe he'd already realized he'd made a mistake in not taking her. Maybe he was calling to tell her that. But Lulu's father hadn't changed his mind. "Now, about your allowance," he said. You know what an allowance is? That's when you get money when you're a little kid from your parents. Some parents begin to give kids a fixed amount of an allowance every week or every month so they can practice saving money. So he says, "I've wired the entire amount to the bank, but remember, it's $25 for each week." Wow, that's a lot, $25 for a week. Ooh. "Dad, there's only one diner in this town and no toy stores or anything like that. There isn't even a movie theater. What am I going to spend money on?" "Lulu," he responded, "think of living in Wiggins as an adventure. Go exploring and study nature. We always do that when we hit a new place." "Grandma's too strict. She won't let me do anything. I know it," Lulu said. "I survived her," he laughed. That's because her father was the grandmother's little boy. So he says, "I survived her." "Yeah, but you were a boy. She's going to expect me to do all these girl things." Her father's final words on the subject were, "Lulu, you're a strong, independent girl. You'll be okay. Listen, they started boarding my plane to Brazil, so let's say goodbye. I know you'll have a great time in Wiggins. I love you." "Bye, Dad. I love you too," Lulu said and hung up the phone. As Lulu got into bed that night, she thought about her father. She missed him very much, and she felt lonely for her mother, who had died when Lulu was 4. Ah, okay, that's what happened to the mother. She died. That's sad. When Lulu was 4. We still don't know exactly how old Lulu is. Maybe she's 9 or 10, maybe. Trying not to be sad, Lulu thought about her past 2 years in England. Oh, they lived in England. Boy, they travel a lot, just like you girls. So she thought about her last 2 years in England with her father. 2 afternoons a week, rain or shine, she attended a riding school where she took lessons on a Welsh pony named Ginger. On Ginger, Lulu had learned to walk, trot, canter, gallop, and jump. She had become such a good rider that she and her friend Emily were allowed to take the school's ponies on long trails through the English countryside. Lulu fell asleep picturing Ginger's sprightly trot, her laughing eyes, and the proud sound of her neigh. Neigh! A few hours later, Lulu awoke from a deep sleep with a start. Why was she hearing the sound of pony hooves on stone and a pony's whinny? A whinny is a whee. It's something like a neigh. I must have been dreaming about Ginger, she thought. But as Lulu sat up in bed and she rubbed her eyes to wake herself up more, she heard her grandmother shouting, "Catch that horse! Get it before it destroys everything in my garden." "He jumped the fence, Mrs. Sanders," a man's voice shouted, "but we'll catch him, don't you worry." There's a horse running around outside. Lulu ran to the window. Grandmother's yard was brightly lit by the outdoor lights. Lulu looked down at a scene of wild confusion. A man in red pajamas, a woman in a yellow bathrobe, and a curly, blonde-haired girl in a pink nightgown were all scurrying around the yard trying to catch a shaggy brown pony. To avoid his pursuers, the pony was running across Grandmother's stone patio. The girl shouted, "Stop, Acorn! Please stop!" Acorn. Good name for a horse. A big clay pot of geraniums crashed to pieces on the patio. As the pony stopped to sample the geraniums, the pony's eating the flowers. Geraniums are flowers. Lulu rushed out of her room and down the back stairs. By the time Lulu reached the backyard, the geranium-munching pony had been caught by the girl. Lulu thought the girl looked about 10 years old, just like her. Okay, Lulu is 10. Okay, so this other girl is 10 also. The girl was talking softly to the pony as she slipped a halter on him. A halter you may know, because I know you, at least Acadia, you've ridden ponies, and I think, Lucy, you too, hopefully. That's the thing that goes over the horse's neck, the halter, and you can lead it around once you have the halter on. The girl led the pony to Grandmother and stopped in front of her. "I'm really sorry," she said. "I'll make it up to you." "How can you, Miss Harley?" Grandmother asked angrily. "These are the last blooms of the season, and now they're ruined. There must be a law about keeping a horse in the backyard." "Acorn's not a horse, ma'am," the girl said proudly. "He's a pony." She led Acorn onto the driveway. Lucy wanted so much to talk to the girl and ask her about her pony. But with Grandmother so angry, Lulu knew it wasn't the right moment to meet the neighbors. There it is. That's Acorn. Acorn, the geraniums. Acorn's eating Grandmommy's flowers. Boy, I bet your Grandmommy wouldn't be too happy if a horse came and started eating all the flowers, would she? Okay. Later, for the second time that night, Lulu fell asleep thinking about a pony. This time she thought of the bold and confident little Shetland pony who lived next door. Okay, the little girl and the pony lived next door. "Acorn," she told herself, "I'm glad to have you as a neighbor. Tomorrow, I'll pay you a visit." Taking a drink of water here. So that's Acorn. Let's see the map. Let's see if we can tell where they live. Kind of keep this in our mind. Okay. Library, Main Street, Harley. Here we go. Sanders, that's Lucy's last name. That's where the Sanders live. And this is where the Harleys live. That's the little girl's last name, Harley. And this says Acorns and Snow White's paddock. Paddock is a little area where they keep horses. You see the little, looks like little gate, little fence there. That's where they keep the horses. And apparently there's a horse named Snow White also. It says Acorns and Snow White's paddock. And there's the Pony Pal Trail. So there we are. There's the town green. That's Town Hall. That's where Lulu is, in the Sanders house, and the little girl next door, an Acorn, are in that house right there, and that's where they keep the horses. Okay, we'll read one more chapter. Chapter 2, Lulu gets caught. I hope she wasn't doing anything too bad. One look at the backyard the next morning, and Lulu knew that the Shetland pony's midnight visit hadn't been a dream. She got dressed and went down the back stairs to the kitchen. Her grandmother was already at work in the beauty parlor. Lulu made herself a bowl of cereal with slices of banana. Oh, just like Granddaddy. Then she went into the backyard to clean up the mess that the pony had made. Lulu figured that if grandmother's yard looked neat, she wouldn't be so angry at the neighbors. First, Lulu picked up pieces of broken clay pots. While she worked, she snuck looks at the Harleys' backyard. She was hoping to see Acorn, but all she saw was a big vegetable garden and a 3-sided shed with some bikes and a lawnmower. As far as she could tell, there wasn't any place to keep a pony at the Harleys. Okay, she must not be able to see the paddock yet. Then she heard Acorn's whinny. She realized that the Harley's yard was deeper than her grandmother's. The enclosed area that was Acorn's paddock was separated from the Harley vegetable garden by a row of bushes. Lulu ran to the far end of grandmother's yard. There, between the shrubs and the fence, she had a good view of Acorn, his paddock, and a wooden shelter. So here we go again. Just want to show you what that means. Okay, so Lulu's in the house right here. She looks over at this house. She doesn't see the paddock. And now she sees it. It's behind the house. There's a row of hedges there, apparently. But that's what she's talking about. Okay. When the small pony saw Lulu, he stopped in his tracks and stared at her. Lulu held up one of the mangled red geraniums and called his name. Acorn's shaggy black mane bounced around his head as he ran up to the fence. He was coming at such a fast pace that Lulu was afraid he'd jump like he had the night before. But the pony, seeing that the geranium was held out on his side of the fence, abruptly came to a halt. In a swift, bold motion, he grabbed hold of the flower with his mouth and pulled it out of Lulu's open hand. "You are so cute," Lulu said. Then, remembering that Shetlands can be proud creatures, she added, "You're more than cute, Acorn. You're really handsome." She stroked his cheek. He nuzzled her shoulder. Nuzzled, that means he kind of rubbed his nose up against her shoulder. Then he turned and ran off across the paddock. In the middle of the field, the pony turned and bobbed his head at Lulu, as if to say, "Aren't you coming?" Lulu heard the Harley's back screen rattle shut. Back door screen rattle shut. Okay, the screen door closes. A girl voice called out, "Acorn! Acorn!" Quickly, Lulu squatted out of sight behind the shrub. From this hiding place, she watched the Harley girl walk across the paddock toward her pony. Acorn, rather than running over to the girl, trotted in the other direction. "Come and get me," he seemed to be saying as he bounded around the field. For a while, the girl played along with Acorn's game of tag, But after a few minutes and an apple bribe, so she gave him an apple, the girl had a halter on Acorn and was leading him to his shelter. There she brushed him and checked his hooves. Lulu knew this meant that the girl would soon be saddling him up for a ride. Lulu watched as the girl put a bridle on Acorn, placed a saddle on his back, and tightened the girth and pulled down on the stirrups. So she's getting ready to ride. Finally, the girl led Acorn toward a gate at the far corner of the paddock. She opened the gate and then mounted her pony. Oh, how Lulu longed to be mounting a pony herself. When she saw that the girl and Acorn were riding into the woods beyond the paddock, Lulu decided to trail them, so she's following them. In a flash, she hopped the fence and ran behind the row of maple trees edging the paddock. By the time Lulu ran through the gate, Acorn and his rider were out of sight. Lulu saw that the only place they could have gone was a narrow trail that snaked into the dense woods. Okay, this must be the Pony Pal Trail. Let's see. Pony Pal Trail, okay. It must be the Pony Pal Trail there. That's where they're going. Lulu wasn't afraid of woods or forests. She'd been on lots of nature expeditions and camping trips with her father, and trailing animals was just the sort of thing she and her father did all the time. It was one of the things he'd be doing this year in the Amazon jungle. After what Lulu estimated to be a mile on the trail, the woods opened up into a large, sun-drenched field. Acorn stopped, and the girl dismounted. Lulu hid behind a big pine tree. She heard the girl say, "Here we are, Acorn. Look, there is Lightning. She's coming over to say hi." Lightning, that must be the name of another horse. Yeah, see the picture here? There are two horses, right? One there and one there. This must be Lightning, and that must be Acorn. And that must be the girl. Acorn whinnied, and another pony whinnied in return. After a quick peek to see if the coast was clear, Lulu darted to a bush at the edge of the field. From there, she saw a beautiful chestnut, that's a color, kind of a brownish color, I think. A beautiful chestnut pony that was quite bigger than Acorn. The pony was galloping across the field to meet a tall, dark-haired girl and a dog who had just entered the paddock. Okay, so now there's another girl. "Hi, Anna." "Hi, Acorn," the taller girl called. "What a great day." Okay, so the little girl with Acorn is named Anna. "It might be great for you," Anna replied in a discouraged voice. Then the other girl and her pony reached Anna. She asked, "What's wrong? Is Acorn okay?" Pam, I guess that's the tall girl's name, Pam, he jumped out of his paddock again last night, and that mean woman next door yelled and yelled like Acorn was some wicked animal. My mom and dad are really mad at me. As Pam gave her pony loving pats on the neck, Lulu thought about how lucky Anna and Pam were to have their own ponies and a private trail to connect their two houses and paddocks. She was daydreaming about riding a pony on that beautiful woodland trail herself when she saw that the dog was running toward her hiding bush. He barked at the bush. Uh-oh, the dog found her. "What is it, Wooly?" Pam shouted. "Shush, Wooly," Lulu whispered, but Wooly barked even louder. "I think he's found something," Lulu heard Pam tell Anna. "Let's go see what it is." In an instant, Lulu considered her options. She could jump up and say, "Hi, I'm Lulu Sanders. Just thought I'd introduce myself." Or she could make a run for it. She made a run for it. "Hey," she heard Anna shout, "that's the girl staying next door." "Why are you spying on us?" Pam yelled. Lulu reached the trail and kept running. Back in Grandmother's kitchen, Lulu walked in circles to slow down her breathing and keep her legs from cramping. She felt like such a jerk. Now, if she saw those girls, it would be so embarrassing. And in a town the size of Wiggins, she was bound to bump into them sooner or later, especially since one of them lived next door and they probably both went to Wiggins Elementary School. Oh, see, Lulu made a mistake. She should have just stood up and said hi, but she ran. Sometimes people make mistakes. She was frightened, I guess. They might be in the 5th grade class that she'd be joining on Monday. I'm the new girl in school, Lulu thought, and I've made a total fool of myself before I've even met anybody. Well, she decided, at least I won't see Anna and Pam this afternoon because I'm going on a hike. Lulu put a sandwich, a canteen filled with water, 3 cookies, an apple, and 2 carrots in her backpack. She folded a piece of paper, found a pencil stub, and stuck those in the pocket of her jeans. Oh, so she can write something. Before going into the beauty parlor to tell grandmother that she was going on a picnic and hike, Lulu remembered to brush her hair and to pull it neatly back with a beret. That's a B-A-R-R-E-T-T-E. That's something a clip like you put on your hair. It's got little teeth in it like a comb, a beret. Grandmother was in the middle of giving a pretty red-haired woman a permanent. When Lulu told her that she was going on a hike, Grandmother looked alarmed. Dad and I always go on hikes when we get to a new place, Grandma. It helps us get our bearings. Well, stick to the roads, Grandmother said, and make a map as you go so you'll be able to find your way back. Of course, Lulu said. Dad taught me that too. Indeed, Grandmother said. And who do you think taught him? Lulu smiled at the thought of her father as a little boy in Wiggins. Okay, that was page 19. And chapter 3, which I'm going to begin on our next reading, is A Pony in Trouble. Chapter 3. Okay, so maybe the pony she finds is a different pony. It's not Acorn, and it's not the other girl's pony. Okay, here we go. That's it. I hope you like this book. Let me know if you like it, then I'll begin with chapter 3 next time. Bye-bye.